y el dinero no te alcanza, puede que estés usando tus tarjetas de crédito para sobrevivir. No te agobies, llámanos. Prometemos ayudarte y mostrarte una manera de reducir tus pagos mensuales. Ayudamos exclusivamente a personas que quieren deshacerse de sus deudas de tarjetas de crédito. Reduce tus deudas y haz un simple pago a todos tus acreedores de tarjetas de crédito, pagado por cero deudas.
Are you ready to shake up the world of health with me? Welcome to Disruptive Health, where we are flipping the script on traditional wellness. I'm Dr. Denise Brown, and on this show, we are diving deep into the latest trends and breakthroughs in health and wellness. Whether you're curious about nutrition, exploring new therapies, or just want to live your best life, Disruptive Health is your guide. Don't miss Disruptive Health, coming soon to Now Media TV.
Hi, my name is Jen Potter, and I am the host of Networking Now. Networking Now is a show that talks about business and all of the different things that come with it, talking about networking, talking about the struggles, and all of the different things that business has to offer. One of the things that we really wanted to talk about today is what is it in business that we go through that we don't necessarily talk about with other people? As a business owner, we go through ups and downs every day. I was recently talking to somebody and we just said, do you ever have a day that you feel like I just don't want to do this anymore? And most business owners will say yes. And then as soon as you say it out loud, you're like, but I can't do that because I love everything that I do. And when we go right back into doing all the things that we're doing, we're faced with super highs and super lows every single day. And it's a lot of things that people don't see. There's a lot of personal struggles that we have in business. And I think that as business owners, we tend to hold a lot of that in. We tend to not share those things with other people. And I think it is so important that we actually talk about that a little bit more openly about the things that we have in business that we struggle with. When I was talking with another friend of mine, we were asking each other a little bit more about business and saying, what are some things that you struggle with in business or things that you may have regret with business? And I had to think about that for a second because I can't honestly say that I've had a regret, but I can honestly say that I would probably do things a lot differently if I knew what I knew now. But hindsight is 2020 and we only know what we know and we don't know what we don't know. So I think it's really important to always, think about the things that we've done and think of them as learning experiences and not necessarily think of them as things that we do, as a mistake. I look at it as a strong learning experience. And in business myself, I would say one of the things that I wish I knew a little bit more about was, the platforms that I used. I wish I learned a little bit more about, how to be a little bit more mindful of my money at the beginning of my company and how I was going to spend my money, even though having, profit and loss statements and projections, we don't always think about how we're going to spend our money and how we're going to get our ROI back. And I think that, I wish I had a little bit more financial education going into business. And, I'm happy that I am where I am now, but that's probably one of the biggest things that I think that I've personally struggled with. And, as my businesses continue to grow, I've learned a lot about business, how to invest and how to grow and how to keep things moving forward. And so one of the things that I like to always talk about with business owners is, how to wisely invest your money, because I think that that's really important. So that's something for me personally. Today, I have Jennifer Hobson with me. She is an owner of several businesses. She's been in business for a little bit, and I wanted to bring her back on. We've had an interview before. We've become friends. We've integrated through different things that we've done here in the community, and I wanted to bring her in to talk about more about her business, why she got into business, and also talk about the things that she struggles with personally in her industry. So welcome, Jen. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me again. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So if you want to tell everybody, the businesses that you own, what it is that you do, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So I became an entrepreneur just about, actually, it was 7 years because I have an anniversary on March 30th. So it was one of those things where you don't realize till the next day because you're too busy doing the things that you do. And I actually started in network marketing, and I still have my network marketing business. And then 3 years ago, I started a health coaching program, and that's through Hops and Health. And what we've done is we have transitioned, and we're now doing business as Shine Up Coaching, which has 3 tiers for people, which is health and wellness, empowerment, and entrepreneur coaching. So I've had lots of different hats in entrepreneur, and what I can tell you is that was never the plan.
It's usually like that, right? I think how we start and where we are probably two completely different views.
Absolutely. So it's really exciting. We're bringing a brand new program to people, which is Shine Well Premier. We started with a 4-week health program, and now this is 90 days. With if you are an entrepreneur or you're a personal development junkie like me, typically it takes 90 days to start a new habit. So it's something that's really amazing for clients to not just, get on that hamster wheel of a program, but actually be able to create the habits for a lifestyle.
It's hard to do that. Whenever anyone does something, you can usually get through those first few weeks, but once you get past that, you're like, yeah, do I really want to keep doing this? And
Exactly.
it can be really hard. And sometimes doing it by yourself is really, really difficult. And, so when the reason why, what is one of the reasons why you focus on that particularly? Sorry, mouthful.
You're good. So, specifically, where I came from in network marketing, it was a health and wellness company. And to go even a little bit further back than that, my mom was always really, really connected to health and wellness so much that she opened a gym that specifically catered to women in 2001. So I was in college, but I was one of the trainers trained through the company. So I've been connected to health and wellness for a really long time, which, to not even go on a whole other tangent, is the reason I never wanted to be an entrepreneur to begin with, because I saw the nitty gritty on the backside. Your overhead, your employee, your salaries you had to pay, the cleaning of the bathroom, right? Literally the nitty and gritty. So what I did love was her passion for helping people. And that really resonated with me. And when I got aligned with my network marketing company, they preach very much the same things that we were already connected to, which was, fueling your body, take care of your family, not being perfect, right? It's about progress, not perfection. And that's really what's transitioned into this company. And I just wanted to amp it up for people, right? Take something that we're already doing well and give them more. I think so many times, specifically talking, and actually, you know what? Let me correct myself. Not just health and wellness, but health and wellness and empowerment and entrepreneur, it's 90% mindset, 10% action. And sometimes we just talk ourselves out of all of these things that we want to do before we even get started. And that's why with 90 days, people get accountability, they get support, they get habit building, and then they also see results. Because a lot of people, you can do anything for 30 days, but are you still going to do it if you haven't seen any results? And I think that's why it's really important to bring people something that lasts a little bit longer that they can connect with.
I absolutely agree with that. And, in that first 30 days, like when you first start a business, I mean, in the first 3 years that you start a business, right? And so it's not that instant gratification. And I think that's really important, especially in your industry, because people want results like yesterday. And it's like, oh, I've been on a diet for 2 days. I don't know why I didn't lose weight. Well, are we kidding? It's been 2 days
Yeah.
and our bodies fluctuate, right? And so it's one of those things where like you said, it's like this mindset. And, me personally, I've been in the health industry for 25 years. So it's something that I've always been super passionate about. So, doing what you're doing always lights a fire for me because I'm like, ooh, I love this. And I know why it's so important. And I really appreciate why you do what you do because it's everybody needs accountability. And, what you have to offer myself as a coach too, but like in your industry, the accountability is the biggest thing. Like you said, mindset 110%. If you're posting, things like posting online to get, people to see what you're doing The second people are like, oh my goodness, like you're doing so great, you're like, ooh, I'm doing this. And it's like you get that instant accountability. But if you don't have somebody to like really hold your hand and walk you through it, a lot of times we tend not to succeed, myself included. Like there has been so many times where, unless I sign up to do something, like for me, like I'm like the extreme sport person. So everyone that knows me knows that, if I'm going to sign up for something, I'm going to sign up for like the Boston Marathon. Why? It's accountability.
Hmm.
The only reason why I sign up for these big things is because I now have accountability attached to it. I have to raise money, I have a goal, I have to do it. So for me, I set myself up that way. When I do coaching programs, like I think working with a coach, I think is fantastic. I think every coach should have a coach, but I think everybody should have a coach at some point in their lives, especially when you're looking to make a big change and especially in your field. So you have three different tiers. And what is out of all of them, what is your favorite one to work with? There's got to be one.
So before I even go into that, I have to harp on accountability because a lot of people think, oh, accountability, I just need a coach because I want them to call me and remind me of what I have to do. And they're going to hold me accountable and they're not going to let me not do something. Accountability is a two-way street. So, yes, you can have a coach. Yes, you can have an amazing program. However, part of it is creating a habit of keeping yourself accountable. Like you said, you would sign up for the Boston Marathon, but the Boston Marathon isn't calling you, making sure you're going to run. So, part of it
Correct.
is ownership of your own accountability. I had to get into that and just to get
Oh,
away from
no, I love that.
answering your question to begin with. So, I have a two-part answer to that. So my belief truly is you have to start somewhere. And if you're going to start somewhere, and that's why we've done it that way in bringing Shine Up Coaching to the public, is with health and wellness, because if you are not healthy, you can't do anything else. So if you are not healthy, you can't work on your empowerment and your mindset because you're so drained with how you feel. You can't be an entrepreneur if you are extremely unhealthy. You can be an entrepreneur, but you're adding one more level of stress that you already have to the entire experience. So I'm not going to use the word favorite. It's like picking a favorite child, but I
There's
would
always
say,
one. I'd be lying if I said that wasn't the truth.
right, if there's a place to start, it's with health and wellness, because feeling, and that doesn't necessarily mean, a lot of people think, oh, health and wellness, that's somebody that wants to lose weight, they want to change the way that they look. Absolutely not. I am currently in a transition of health because I have a thyroid disease, so I'm not the healthiest I could be. So I have to still take care of myself and make sure I'm actually investing a little bit of extra time that maybe the average person wouldn't. So really starting with health and wellness is the key to being successful at the rest, because when you are healthy, everything else can fall into place. If you're not, you already have those ideas. Like you said, being an entrepreneur, there's days where you don't want to do stuff. Well, guess what? If you have migraines 9 out of 10 days, guess how many times you definitely don't want to be doing those things.
I 110%, I suffer from chronic migraines. So right out the gate, I can tell you firsthand how awful that is. And so we're already at the end of our first segment. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more in detail about that health and wellness piece and why it's so important. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the U.S. Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the U.S. Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
Welcome back. I am Jen Potter, host of Networking Now, and I am here with Jennifer Hobson. Before the break, we were talking about the importance of taking care of ourselves and our health and wellness. In her business, she does a whole bunch of different things. In coaching, she has 3 different tiers, and I asked her which one was her favorite. And while it was really hard to pick her favorite, she talked about which one was the most important. And the most important one is our health and our wellness. And so when we were talking about our health and wellness, tell me a little bit more of why you think it's so important to, not just everybody, but business owners specifically.
I think sometimes, like I mentioned, when you have been a person that has been sick or has struggled with health, that's why it takes such a front seat to everything you do. And like I had mentioned, I had watched my mom run her business. I had run several retail businesses, and you see the people that are not just succeeding, but thriving, they don't have those worries. They don't have health issues. They don't have anything coming up or taking care of someone else that has a health issue, right? And I think it's just, it really, I don't want to just keep saying it's the most important thing, but it's the building block on which you can continue to build other things. When you're an entrepreneur, you need to get sleep because your brain needs to be able to scrub. That's really how it works, right? When you get sleep, your brain, it's like a car wash and it scrubs, and now there's no plaque. There's a thing where if people don't sleep, and I know you can relate to this, don't sleep, they have foggy brain. They can't think clearly. They're not as creative. So there is something where we have to be supporting our body. First of all, it's the only one we got. And if we're going to treat it like crap, then it's going to treat us like crap, and we're not going to be able to do the things that we want. We can't be innovative. We can't be creative. We can't show up in the way that we want to, and we really can't support the things that we want to accomplish. And health at its most basic form is taking care of yourself.
That's so spot on. And it starts with it, like you said, it starts with ourselves, and it's really making a focus. And it's so easy for a business owner to say, I don't have time. I don't have time to take care of myself. I can personally say, I probably don't have time, but you make the time. It is so important. I always say, if there's something you truly want to do, you will always make time for it. No matter what it is, if you are willing to work on something, whether it's to, have a specific meeting, to work on your health, to, whatever that may be, you will always make time for it within the course of your day. And, I want, like, working out. As a business owner, I will tell you, working out helps me to, like, be more creative. It helps me to release all of that extra, like, stress and all that extra tension. And if you probably survey a majority of business owners, especially the really, like, elite business owners, they'll all tell you that they work out at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I do not work out at 4 o'clock in the morning. Let it be known
Same.
that I am still sleeping at 4 o'clock in the morning. There are days that I wake up to go to the gym around 5, but getting up, getting productive first thing in the morning, getting those things, like, it's taking care of us. And you said it before, sleep is so important. And for me personally, I have a 3-year-old who doesn't sleep, but I try really, really hard to, to get in bed nice and early, to get, as many hours as I possibly can, because if I don't sleep, you said it nail on the head, foggy brain. It took 3 takes to start this segment because I'm like, and I can't do this because I have fog brain, right? It's the afternoon and it's hard for us sometimes to like really get out of our heads because we're constantly go, go, go. And we need to be creative. We need to be innovative. You like said it right out the gate. And when it's there's so many parts to it. There's sleeping, there's eating healthy. Like it's so easy for a business owner to like literally live off of coffee, myself included. Here's the coffee cup, right? I literally live off of coffee, but I have to make sure that I remind myself, don't forget to eat something, making sure that I'm having something balanced. I am more productive when I am eating my fruits, my vegetables, and, constantly going. Integrate it with my coffee, but it's so, so important. So for you personally, so I'm going to totally call you out on all of this because this is what you focus on. What does a typical week look like for you as a business owner? What are some healthy tips and tricks of things that you personally do in order to maintain a healthy, lifestyle and in order to also teach this to your clients?
Absolutely. And before I get into that, the reality of the situation is if you do not make the time, you're going to have all the time in the world soon because you're not going to be able to run a business. You're not going to be able to work. So you'll have all the time in the world if you don't make the time now. And it's not going to be a good thing. It's going to be because you're too sick to accomplish things. So that just has to be said is it's worth it to take the 15 minutes than to have to take a step back from what you really want to be doing. And so for me, the quick, easy tips, and yes, I mean, if you're going to work with any kind of coach, you want to make sure they're walking the walk, talking the talk. They're very, very simple. I start with high protein in the morning, right? Stay away from your bagels, your muffins, your donuts, anything that is going to spike your sugar. So for me, I don't want to have to think about breakfast the majority of the time. So it's a high protein vegan. It's actually vegan. It's a shake. I stay away from dairy as much as I can. For me, I find that it is very inflammatory and it doesn't do well in my gut. That doesn't mean that is what you have to do. There are some days where I want to eat food, so I might make protein pancakes, protein waffles, or for lunch, I had high protein. I had an omelet, had turkey in it, had some veggies in there, right? So you can have some variety is really the word that I'm looking for. And my shake isn't the same every day, right? And now my 2-year-old, he one of his words is shaka, because that is such a part of my routine. He knows what it is. It's simple. It takes me less than 5 minutes. So the tip is high protein, low sugar, easy to do.
I think that that's pretty spot on. I mean, I drink coffee in the morning. I stopped drinking sugar in it just because I don't want that extra spike of sugar. It's great because we're like, ooh, we can start moving around. But the second you come off that sugar high, now you're going into that fog and you're tired and you don't want to do things. So that high
Yeah.
protein is super important. I find that for myself as well.
And
So
depending
in
on,
the exact same way.
depending on people's nutrition and what they're doing for themselves or with their coach, even the coffee thing for certain people where they are, coffee is going to suppress your appetite. So if you're a person that needs to be getting higher protein in there, I mean, I will never poo poo on coffee. I love the flavor. I don't require it anymore because I've adjusted my body. However, you want to just make sure if you're trying to get more protein, you're avoiding the things that suppress your appetite. But it also goes to what are you trying to accomplish? If you're just trying to feel good, again, I don't understand, honestly. I try to figure out why our breakfast places are donuts, bagels, coffees, all of these things, because all they do is spike your sugar. So that's the tip of the morning. The other one is water. And I know it sounds super simple, but it's water. And the other thing is if you happen to be one of the very few percent of people that is staying hydrated, just make sure you're also getting some form of electrolyte. That does not mean Gatorade Red, sorry, but some form of good, clean electrolyte through a hydration stick. There are plenty out there in the market. And if you don't know where to look, I'm always willing to share what I do. So stay hydrated. I mean, there's so many ways. I mean, there's so many cups. There's so many bottles out there. There's no excuse of I don't have a way to do it. I do work with some clients that drive a lot. So that can be something that's very difficult. So you have to get with someone that's going to go, okay, what's your schedule? Let's break it down. What's the easiest way? But my tip is drink water as often as possible. Stay away from the things that spike your insulin. So your sodas, your crazy energy drinks, like they're not good. People with your heart thing, right?
Right.
Stay away from them. If you're grabbing them one every single day or more than once a day, try to stay away from them. If you need a little pick me up, green tea is great, right? Anything that's going to give you something that's going to be stable and not that big spike and then the crash. And then for dinner, when you're looking at your plate, start with the vegetables. Start with the vegetables. That's the biggest part on your plate. Then your lean protein, and carbs aren't bad. I just want to
I
say,
love carbs. I love potatoes.
and especially as women with hormone health, carbs aren't bad. You can have some that are complex carbs. So you can have your quinoa, your lentils, your brown rice, your sweet potatoes. You can switch it up, but don't be afraid to eat carbs. I mean, I'm not telling you to eat a loaf of white processed bread. That's not what I'm talking about. But if you start your plates, and it's great as we head into the summer, there's so much more available. And that's probably my last tip. As often as you can, try to eat seasonally. There is a reason you cannot go outside in New England and find cucumbers. So if you can avoid cucumbers in the winter and then you get Brussels sprouts or cabbage, try to eat seasonally, because it's crazy how the earth was made, but it feeds us the way we're supposed to. So sometimes there's higher levels of vitamin D, like when there's not as much sun. So those types of things, they're very easy to do. They're very easy not to do, but high protein in the morning, avoid sugar, drink water as often as you can, avoid high sugar drinks, start with veggies.
I really love that. And, to touch upon the hydration side, which is so important, this is something that I noticed for my own personal health too, and you said it right. I said I have coffee, but like on the other side of me, I also have another water bottle. And in that other water bottle is not just regular water, it actually has my electrolytes in it. And electrolytes, like you said, they are so important. Go a week without electrolytes, try it for a week, and then come off of it again. And how your body feels is night and day. Like I have noticed such a difference. One, I feel like my body just feels like it's just consistent,
Working. It's working.
right? It's consistent. And having something like with the sodium in it, for me, I have low sodium to begin with, so I have to do high sodium. But the one thing that people don't pay attention to is some of the hydration sticks are actually really high in sugar. So making sure that when you're doing that, based off of what Jen said, don't look for the ones that have sugar in them. So some of them taste really, really good, but they're also really high in sugar. And I won't call out any of those brands because one of them I really love. So I still have like that one sometimes.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there's one, and I'm not paid to say this, but I'm going to say it out loud because it's one of my favorite. It's Elementi. And it is one of the best ones I've ever used. It's super high in sodium. It has really good flavor, and one a day has been one of the best things I've ever done. And it's something that we order consistently here at home. All of my kids use it. They absolutely love it. And you talked about shakes before. My 3-year-old every morning for breakfast makes himself a protein shake. He gets all of the stuff out, and consistently we make a protein shake because that's what he has come accustomed to love. So our kids feed off of us, right? And
Oh,
it kind of brings it all into one thing. If we're living a healthy lifestyle and we're eating healthy and we're doing these things, they're going to mimic us. Your son knows that you have a protein shake that you have in the morning. My son knows it, and now he even makes it himself. So, paying attention to those things, because not only are we fueling ourselves, but we're also fueling our children too. So I think that that's really important. So thank you so much for touching upon that. And always be conscious, like you said, with the vegetables. I do the exact same thing. I think that's why we get along so well. We're very, very similar when it comes to doing things. And I think it's really important. But we're going to take another break. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about that healthy lifestyle, but then maybe talk about some of the things that happen when you don't do that. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
Welcome back. I'm Jen Potter, host of Networking Now. I'm joined by Jennifer Hobson, and throughout the segments, we have been talking about the importance of health and wellness, how it affects our body, also the struggles that we have in business, and how they're all kind of combined, and all the things in between. And so, welcome back, Jen. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And so before the break, we were talking about the importance of, a healthy lifestyle and why it's so important to us business owners. And, the more that we do, the more things that we have on our plates, literally, not just our food, but the more things that we have on our plates, we tend to, sometimes be overworked and we can get run down. And if we're not taking care of ourselves, things are going to hit the fan, right? And it's not going to be pretty. But if we do take care of ourselves, even in the instance of us, having to stop and do things that, having to stop in business or not being able to do the things that we want to do, we recover a little bit quicker and, we're able to kind of bounce back. But one of the things that we talked about in between on the break was both me and Jen do have something chronic. And myself is a heart condition. And I've had a heart condition for about 15 years now. And the longer that I've had it, the more that I've kind of learned about it, and it's evolved over time. But one minute I'm perfectly fine, and the next minute I'm in the ICU. And it's a really amazing and scary thing to be super, super healthy. Like, I ran the Boston Marathon last year, and then all of a sudden to be like, I'm in the hospital like 3 weeks later. Actually, 3 days later after the Boston Marathon, I was in the hospital because they thought I was having a heart attack. And so it's crazy because I do take care of myself, but there are times that I'm not able to do those things. And it's really, really scary. But what if I didn't take care of myself every day? I probably wouldn't be able to do half the things that I do. And a lot of people always say to me, Jen, one minute you're fine and the next minute you're not. And when you go back to work, how do you not let any of that affect you? And for me personally, if it's not in front of me and it's not bothering me, it doesn't exist. Because if I feed that energy into what I have going on, I wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm doing. So I'm able to kind of compartmentalize and not really think about it as much. And I know, I'll let you talk a little bit, Jen, about, the things that you kind of have going on, but how do you handle that when it comes to your health and your wellness? And I know you have little babies as well. So what is that like with you in business?
Well, I think for a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, people that are relatively successful, typically are high functioning, right? We like to function at the highest level, and we typically like control. We like to be in control of things, and when it's not going the way that we planned, that can really throw us off course. And children, they don't go as planned. having them,
That's so true.
raising them, right? So there's that part of it. And then being a person that does suffer from being sick, it is one of those things where you're going, it's either you're going 0 to 60 or you're going 0. And it's hard to figure that out. And one of the things that I've had to do, because it can also mess with your mindset. And I've had this a lot. And this is one of the stories that I work with over and over again, is when you are taking rest, if you're a high functioning person, you start to think, oh, I'm just being lazy. Oh, I could be doing this. I could be doing that. I should be doing, we're shooting all over ourselves. And that's hard because then what happens is the time that you are taking to rest isn't actually restful because you're just stressed to the max thinking about all this stuff that I could have started dinner 30 minutes ago, but I didn't. I could have called this one person, but I didn't. Or I could. It goes on and on and on. So it's really, there's no perfect formula, but the formula I typically work with is rest when you need it, let go of what you can't control, and ask for help. I think that's a really big thing. And I was actually out to dinner with my friend the other day, and it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, I've nailed it. Because she goes, you're so good at asking for what you need. That didn't come naturally. That wasn't
That's a hard thing to do. And
it is.
it's impressive, right?
Yeah, I was like, oh, good job, Jen. Good job asking for, and that sometimes even from physical touch to, communication, it's all these different things. And being able to be confident enough to go, because sometimes you don't see it coming. So you need to rest regardless. And that's really hard for a high functioning person. But being able to go, you know what, I'm planning rest into the equation so that I can prepare for those other things. And you have to let go of that guilt, and also building a team that you trust. You have to trust, and that gives them opportunity to shine. And you can say, you know what, I need to take a step back. I'm trusting you to do this. And that's, the more stressed we are, whether or not you have a medical condition, the more stressed we are, the more likely we are to fail. So we need
That's
to make
absolutely
sure,
true.
we need to make sure we're supporting ourselves. And sometimes it's asking for help when we need it. That's guilt-free, relaxing. It's building a team that we trust and giving them opportunity to shine. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. What happens with some people is they don't do any of them. And then what happens is something happens with their health, or they completely shut down. And now everything they've been working for falls apart, and they blame it on taking a rest when really it was like, no, your body just needed to recover. So it's just, you have to take a step back, take inventory. And this is for the average person that doesn't struggle with the extras, and go, where is my planned guilt-free rest time? Who am I setting up to take over if I need that person? I need to tap them in. And, what do I need to ask help for? And how am I okay with it? You have to be okay with it.
I agree with all of that. And that's so important. And, it's funny because I didn't really think about this when we first started talking about things that we could have done differently in business. And when you just started talking just now, it was like this light bulb went off in my head. And if I could rewind what I said at the beginning of the episode and say the thing that I probably would have done different, I would say this now, because I do say this now, is I would have set better boundaries at the beginning of my business journey. And, you really hit the nail on the head when you said it is, guilt-free rest time, finding someone that you can trust, making sure that, that we're taking care of ourselves. And the thing is that for me, and I do this now, I actually teach workshops on this all over the place, and it's about boundaries and time management. And I had to become an expert in scheduling and time management and boundaries in order to be successful in business. That is something that I had to be very proficient in because I own several businesses and I have a lot of employees. And so in order for me to be successful and trust other people, I had to get my stuff together, right? And at the beginning of my business journey, I was the yes person. I said yes at all times of day. My phone would ring no matter what time it is, and I would answer my phone. I would respond to my emails at all times of the day, whether morning, noon, and night. Well, if I don't respond, I'm not going to get a client. I would I would make myself accessible even when I wasn't accessible. I would make myself accessible on the weekends. I'd make myself accessible while I was at my kids', soccer games or lacrosse games or what,
Everywhere.
everywhere. No matter where I was, I'm like, I had like my AirPod in. And I mean, I still do have my AirPod in sometimes, but I'm no longer giving access to people, giving access to them to my time
Yeah.
when I need to be present for my children, because it ruins relationships,
Oh,
and
for
it
sure.
could ruin, family relationships, personal relationships, relationships with your kids, relationships with your friends, whatever, relationships just in general. And what I had to learn was setting boundaries on my footer in my email.
I
And
remember it.
it will say, it says it at the bottom of all my emails. This is the time I'm available. And the other time is spent for my family, because family time can never be, it's never going to be here again. My kids are going to be one day older tomorrow. And what happened today can never be repeated. But work will always be there. Clients will always be there. We have to realize what is important to us. And my children are the most important things to me. And it is so important to set those boundaries for ourselves. And I'm actually teaching somebody else this right now. So a good friend of mine has a really hard time with setting boundaries. And they'll be in the middle of something and their phone will ring and they'll answer their phone while they're in the middle of doing something else. And I'm
Hmm.
like, wow,
Whoa.
time out. This doesn't work. Like, you can't keep making yourself so accessible. And they're like, well, I have to because X, Y, and Z. I'm like, no, you're making up an excuse as to why. If they know that you have boundaries, they will respect you that
Hmm.
much more. And if they don't, that's a them problem, not a you problem.
Yeah.
Because if somebody goes back and complains, like, oh my goodness, Jen didn't respond back to me because she set boundaries, do you think they're going to look like an idiot or you're going to look like an idiot? And depending on who they're talking to, I mean, it
I
could be one or
mean,
the other, right? But at the same time, you're not allowing them into your time,
yeah.
and taking days off, right? Like, as a business owner, the first 2 years that I was in business, I don't remember actually ever
No
taking a
days
day off.
off.
Like,
Well, one of the
it's
things
hard.
I actually work with empowerment coaching is this fun activity of become an expert at saying no.
Mm-hmm.
And it has nothing to do with, well, if I say no, I'm not saying yes to this. And we start with what are and it's an exercise that we go through and we end up identifying their three top focuses. So the things that they are their main priorities. If saying yes to something is not in alignment with one of those three things, then why are we saying yes to it? And so it goes into those boundaries. And what's so funny is when I first saw your email header, I was like, that is so good. Where some people might not want to go as far as do that because they start thinking like, well, someone doesn't want, what if they don't like that or they don't want to work with me? Well, you know what? They're not your people.
Oh,
They
that's
are not
that's
your
my motto. They are not my client, because if my client does not respect me from the gate, it is what it is. And with all the different organizations that I work for, I do work 7 days a week all summer because I
people.
have to. I work, I'm a surf instructor and I work on the weekends. So I work every day of the week. If I don't give myself personal time, so during the week, I'll make sure that I set time aside for myself to give myself a break. And we don't do that as business owners. We're like, if we don't keep going, we're not going to succeed. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're going to have work every day, all day, no matter what in business. My cell phone, I tell people this all the time. I probably have 75 text messages that aren't responded to yet. And it's not because I am ignoring them. It's because I have to be more intentional when I respond back to them. Because when I respond to 75 text messages, you know what happens next, right? You get 75 more. They
75
never go
responses.
away. Yeah, they never go away. Because people are like, oh my God, but you still have all those text messages. I'm like, because the second I respond, they're just going to respond back. And
Mhm.
I'm intentional. I don't believe in instant gratification. If we teach our clients and our friends that we don't believe in instant gratification, they're going to respect us that much more. Oh, if you need to get a hold of me, call me. I'll become accessible to the things that we want to do. But if we're trying to be intentional, I'm not going to answer the phone like while we're on this call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I need to be here and be present, and that's so important. And it all just ties right in. But believe it or not, we're already at the end of this segment. So when we come back, we're going to wrap it up, talk about all of the things we didn't get a chance to talk about, and stay tuned. We'll be back.
Are you ready to shake up the world of health with me? Welcome to Disruptive Health, where we are flipping the script on traditional wellness. I'm Dr. Denise Brown, and on this show, we are diving deep into the latest trends and breakthroughs in health and wellness. Whether you're curious about nutrition, exploring new therapies, or just want to live your best life, Disruptive Health is your guide. Don't miss Disruptive Health, coming soon to Now Media TV.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
Welcome back. I'm Jen Potter, host of Networking Now, and I've been joined in this segment by Jennifer Hobson, who has her primary focus is on health and wellness. And today we have been talking about a multitude of things. We started off the show talking about our struggles and the things that we don't talk in business. We took a deep dive into health and wellness and why it is so important. Health and wellness and taking care of ourselves, setting boundaries, and most importantly, saying no. And Jen, you said something during the break, which I really, really liked. So tell us something about saying no and staying in alignment that really just kind of hit me.
Well, what I tell my clients all the time, especially when we're doing that exercise, is that saying no, it's to protect your yes, right? It's the body armor for your yes. And I think the further that we go into that part of the conversation that you really need to identify is, well, what are you saying yes to? Right? You have to identify, well, what am I protecting? What's that yes? And doing that, well, step back. Most people, especially entrepreneurs, want to do tons of things, yourself included, right? You have three, four businesses because there's so many different things you want to do. And we have to remember we can't do everything great at the same time. Right? We can't be great at 10 different things. If we can focus our energy into 3 things, really give all of our energy, our effort into 3 things, then we're going to really exceed at them. So identifying what they are. For me, what I usually start with, it's family, finances, and fitness. Maybe that's my 3. Well, if something doesn't align, yes, we're doing something with the family, but we're not actually spending quality time together, then that might not, somebody else's birthday party, maybe that doesn't make sense for us to spend that time where we could go do something together. So it kind of, you start there and then you peel the onion back and see where it's going. But at the end of the day, it's saying no to things to protect your yes so that you can exceed at those things, or you can reach your goals, or you just feel fulfilled in the things you said were important to you.
It's so true. It's so true because the more we spread ourselves out, the harder it is to do things. Myself included, and I own multiple businesses. But there was something that you said earlier in the show about giving people responsibility so they can shine. So I'm only able to do all the things I'm able to do is because I have such an amazing team. And I work with so many different people that are just so incredible that, my cleaning company completely is ran by my partner. She is absolutely incredible. And I've entrusted that onto her, knowing that that part is taken care of. My babysitting company, I do a lot of work with that, but I also have, my general manager who is absolutely incredible doing her job, who is able to take a lot of that responsibility off of me as well. So the only reason why I'm able to continue to do all the things that I'm doing is because I have people who are helping me in order to continue to grow. Because like you said, the more times I say yes, the less time I have, the more stretched out I am over things. I have 3 kids. I have 4 businesses. I run a nonprofit. I'm doing all of these things, but I have to be very conscious of how I'm spreading my time. And sometimes I do have to say no. And sometimes it's really hard. It's really
Yeah.
hard when I have to say no to something that I feel really passionate about. But I walk through all of those different things and I say, is it in alignment with the things that I'm doing? And if it isn't, you have to sit back and say, you know what, that's something I can't do. And if I can't do it, who can do it for me? And I find for me, one of the things that I've started really leveling up in this more recently, because for me, and you know this, collaboration over competition, right? That is so important to me. And, when I'm doing things, and this is, one of the reasons of how we've connected and continue to grow, both, in our friendship and our business relationships. And for me, it's, okay, well, I can't do this. Or, you know what? Maybe Jen can do that maybe that's something Jen might be interested in, and it could be a good opportunity for you. And I want to turn around and I want to help someone else to shine and, play on words like your business. It's what you help people do. I love like the name of your business always gets me excited because it makes me feel like that vibrancy.
Hmm.
And so I think it's so important to like make other people feel that as well. So if it's something that's not in alignment with you, you know somebody that you could ask the same question to. Hey, no, Jen can do this. Hey, no, someone else can do this. I think that they would be a better fit because then it makes you look good because you're like, oh, you can't say yes to this one particular thing, but you have really awesome friends. And I like to make other people feel amazing and do things that like, oh, I couldn't do that, but you know what? Now you can do it and I can watch you be the best possible version of yourself. So I think it's so important. And there are just so many things that we do throughout the course of the day that I feel like, if we were able to not do a handful of them, we'd be more efficient and just be better at what we do. And every day I try to say, what are some things that I can offload in a different direction in order to continue to do the things that make me happy? And it's hard. It's really hard.
Well, what's funny is a lot of times when we say no and less yes more often, we actually feel more fulfilled. And one of the things what you said during the break is, some people, they're afraid to say yes because they think they're going to miss out on opportunities or clients or, there's more payout or exposure. When in reality, what you and I both came to the same conclusion is when you say no, the right opportunities are going to come around, right? You say no to this one, a better one came around the corner because if you're putting that energy out into the universe, they're going to show up and you can't say
Hmm.
yes. It's like the funny little universe's game. It's like, oh, did you say yes to the right one? But you have to protect it. And the right one is the one that's going to move the needle forward for the goals that you picked. And it's the one that's going to be in alignment and it's going to make you feel fulfilled and you're living on purpose, I think is really important. So I love that you had said that when we were talking. It's your no allows for the good ones, the good yeses. And we're
Absolutely.
so afraid or being shamed or even just, I'm connected to a lot of mothers, especially in my network marketing business, that's a way for them to contribute to their family. And they're so afraid to say no to every single extracurricular, not necessarily because they want to do them, but because of the shame, the mom or parent shame that comes with saying no to it. When it's like, honestly, I don't want to go to 85 birthday parties in June. Like, I love you dearly. Here's the gift card, and we'll do something together another time. And it's
Hmm.
okay to say no. And I think even just as adults, not just entrepreneurs, you have to work on that part of communication, letting it go and being able to say, a perfect example is I don't know why I still know people that are in weddings, but I do. And sometimes they don't actually fit into your budget, but you feel obligated to say yes, where we need to learn how to have that conversation, especially as entrepreneurs, and say, hey, I'm so thankful that you thought of me and I really do appreciate it. At this time, I just am not going to be able to participate. And I think that happens in business sometimes. And then we ghost people rather than have that open conversation so that they come to us the next time they have something really amazing versus I just don't know how to say no. So I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist. And then they're never going to ask me for anything ever again. So
Right.
you're
And
fulfilling that
it's okay to
prophecy.
say no. Like I say that all the time. Like when I give somebody an opportunity, I look at them and I say, if it is not a good fit, tell me no. it's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings. It goes to I say that to my employees. If you no longer want to work here, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I rather you show up to a job that you love. If for some reason you don't love what you're doing, that's okay.
Yes.
And I feel okay with it, but then it's that feeling of disappointment. People tell me all the time because they love working, so I'm told people love working for me. I just won't be like, everybody loves working for me. But what I've been told in the past is my employees have had a hard time quitting because, or, to go do something else. And I'm like, well, why? I own businesses that are meant to not be long term. And I don't mean that in any disrespect for anybody who wants to stay in the industries and they want to do
Sure.
that. But for a majority of my employees, I don't expect them to be here for the long haul.
Yeah.
And if they do, that's fantastic. But, if you have another opportunity, I want you to take it. But they tell me all the time, they're like, I have this fear of like disappointing you. Like, you're not going to disappoint me. Not telling me is disappointing me. Tell me that's important. If I'm going to give you an opportunity, it's okay to say no. And if there's anything, I think that this is probably one of the biggest touch points that we talked about. And it's funny because you never know what that aha moment's going to be. And I think for this, it's that. I think it's having that aha moment of being able to say no. And because then again, I'm gonna turn around and I'll ask somebody sometimes.
Well, and I think what you're saying, they don't want to disappoint you is really where it's at. And those are qualities of a good leader. What that has meant is, and I tell people all the time, people don't quit businesses or programs, they quit people. And the fact that they don't want to quit is because you've become an actual leader and mentor in their life versus a boss. That's a big difference. And I think so many people should really strive to be that kind of person when you have so many employees. It's not this clocking in, it's not this repertoire. I have a way that I can serve people and pour into people. And if I can take all the stuff that I've had to go through and I had to, go the hard way to learn how to say no and impart some of your wisdom, whether they take it or not, and share that with them, that's why they don't want to leave and disappoint you. But it's because they're learning something from you already. So that part, that's a really hard one to say no to because it's something they want to hang on to, that part of the relationship. And maybe they have to go back and maybe I do want to work here forever. Or
Right.
how do I keep that relationship going if I'm no longer in that company?
And it's funny, it's like you always try to maintain those relationships, which I think is super important. And I think because that's one of the skill sets that I think I personally have always been able to, hold on to in work relationships, but even personal relationships. Like, people that I've dated in the past, I'm friends with every single one of them. And it's funny because, for a long time, everyone would be like, how are you friends with your ex? Because we had an open line of communication. And just if a relationship isn't working out, we're both on the same page. And I think that that's so important in so many aspects of our lives, because if you can do things like that, you can do that at work and you can maintain that relationship. I'm friends with bosses that I used to have because all of these people come back into your lives at different points.
I'm just laughing, Jen, because somebody has asked, Jen, why are you friends with your ex-boyfriend's ex-girlfriend? And I'm like, because she's
me
a
too,
nice
me too.
person. Like, it's just what we do. You have to build a relationship, and if they're a person worthwhile, I don't care why
Yeah.
or we know each other.
I just got one of my ex's wives as a client. So it's funny because why not be friends with I'm actually friends with a handful of them. One of them was messaging me lipstick colors earlier today. And it's so funny because it's an ex's ex. And I was like, well, she's fantastic and she has great lipstick. And by the way, you do have amazing lipstick. So thank you for wearing lipstick for today, because that's my new thing. But it's been such a pleasure to talk to you today. I can't believe that we're already almost out of time. I would love for you to tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. And, we're going to continue more conversations in the future, but how can everybody get a hold of you?
Absolutely. I love connecting regardless of whether or not the programs are for you. And you can always direct message me right on Instagram at Shine Up Coaching. And if you prefer email, it's super easy. It's Jennifer Hobson VP at Gmail. And you can always reach me there. Not
Awesome.
always.
Because we set boundaries. You can send her an email and she'll get back to you Monday morning because it's Friday and she deserves the weekend with her kids. And, always respecting that time. So I thank you so much for being here today. It's always a pleasure. I always love talking with you. And we were saying it during the break too, because we just have a continuous conversation even when we're in between things. So it's fantastic. My name's Jen Potter. I am the host of Networking Now, and I hope to see you all again soon. Have a great day.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Are you ready to shake up the world of health with me? Welcome to Disruptive Health, where we are flipping the script on traditional wellness. I'm Dr. Denise Brown, and on this show, we